It's 6:52. Welcome back to Great Day on KCWI. And hey, it's Tuesday.
It's Tuesday.
I found out Tuesdays, it's Ron the Car Guy from Westside Auto Pros Day.
It is. How are you? Great.
Great to see you.
Great to see you, Steve.
So I see you right you have a catalytic converter.
Well, it could be many things.
It's a,
Ron was showing us during the break. It's like, what is this? Well, it could be a hat.
We could utilize this for many different things. But no, I brought this along. This is probably an extreme case, but I want to talk a little bit today about something as simple as an air filter on a car, because what's happening is the air filters on cars are getting more difficult to get to, so nobody checks them. And if your air filter gets restricted on a car, you'll lose 7 to 10% of your fuel mileage.
Wow. But isn't that just part of your oil change?
Well, it is. It should be, and oftentimes it is, depending on where you get your oil changed. Your air filter gets checked or should be checked. But this was something that we've run into a couple of times now, and it's an extreme case, and I thought it was kind of unusual, so I wanted to share it with everybody. This is actually an air filter for a Ford Focus.
So a very common car.
Very common car. And not
the filter?
This is the
that
filter.
Whole thing?
Yeah, if you go to Ford to buy an air filter for a Ford Focus, they will sell you this for $433.
And you will say naughty words.
I thought a filter was just like a little mesh
the unique part about this is I can't see the filter. I can't inspect it. And in the manual, it says that this thing should last for 150,000 miles. Now, I might be the new kid on the block. I've only done this for 30 years, but I've never seen an air filter go 150,000 miles.
Right.
And we've had a couple of these come in with the check engine light on. They weren't running properly, and the filter was just plugged. It was restricted, and they didn't have anywhere near 100,000 miles on them. So they're not lasting 150,000, but there is an alternative. Instead of buying the $433 filter, which looks like this, and you can't get a part, you can go to the aftermarket, like Napa or an aftermarket, and they'll sell you one of these for about $200, and they've redesigned it, so now we can take the filter out.
So Ford really made it so there's no way of getting in there and
absolutely no way. It's just a horrible design. No sense at all. I don't know what they were thinking.
It's like someone's trying to make money.
Yeah.
Well, and you look at that, you know, that 150,000 mile interval. I mean, if it did last that long, you know, how many of the last, is it 20,000, 30,000, 50,000 miles? Has your fuel economy suffered because your air filter's not working properly? You got to remember your air filter, when it comes to the amount of air coming through, for every 1 gallon of gas that your car burns, your air filter has brought in essentially 15 gallons of air. And it's got to filter all that air. So you get into dusty conditions, road construction.
Think about a year like last year when we had drought, and if you got to get home on a gravel road and you're doing that every day, there's no way that air filter is going to work.
No, absolutely not.
What is it about auto manufacturers that make it so hard to get to things? You used to be able to get in there, check everything is just completely encased in something. To get to something, it's a domino effect where you've got to remove 15 different things, and then put in the back, of course, is the nightmare of the century.
Correct. Yeah. The leftover parts, we just throw them away. We don't put them back together. But anyway, what happens is there's no room, and they're all trying to meet fuel economy standards by the federal government, so they got to go for that low sloping hood. So now they took away engine compartment space. They got to make the cars a little smaller, a little bit lighter, and we're running out of real estate under there to put stuff. So you're right. We had jobs that maybe used to take an hour and a half to do. I mean, we'll spend 3 or 4 hours because we got to take so much stuff off to get to something.
Now, are there any other models besides the Ford Focus 2005, 2007 models? Are there any other vehicles that are dealing with a similar issue?
I have yet to see it, so the answer to that is no.
Okay.
And in later years, it's my understanding that Ford did change it so we can get the filter out and look at it.
That just doesn't make any sense.
I'm not an engineer, but that just seems like a no-brainer to me. How are they going to get to that? Don't worry about it. No,
well, you can get to it. You can change this in about 15 minutes.
It's just going to cost you.
Yeah, it's the $433 to buy one. That's what I didn't like.
Yeah.
Well, and really, it's just a molded plastic part with a filter in it.
Well, and if the aftermarket could come up with a way to inspect it and change it, I mean, that couldn't have cost that much more.
So you say you've seen some of these cars come in and the engine light's on. Have you been able to get inside and see the filter? Is it actually clogged up?
The first one that we we ran across, it actually, we cut it apart because we're like, first of all, I mean, we thought we were ignorant. We didn't know how to get to the filter. Well, then we looked it up in the service manual, and you had to buy the whole thing. So we actually cut it apart to look in there and see. I mean, just to prove up to ourselves that this was the problem. And hopefully it was, because we couldn't put it back together. Right. But we knew it was. And then the second one, we knew right away, but they had come out with this by then. So I mean, that's a common car. There's a lot of those out there.
Yeah, tons. And
one of the best-selling cars in the world.
Yep. I could see a Renault, perhaps, or some weird thing you find over in Eastern Europe.
The thing. But bottom line, besides if you have a Ford Focus or not, between 2005 2007, just making sure your air filter is checked. Is it kind of like keeping air in your tires? It makes a big difference.
It does. It makes a huge difference. And typically an air filter, depending on your driving conditions, a year, 20,000 miles, it'll be restricted enough to where it's affecting fuel economy. Don't wait for the check engine light to come on and the car not to run before you change the filter, because you wasted the $20 worth of filter money. That's what an average filter costs. You've wasted that on gas.
Makes sense. So it's always important to check when you are getting your oil change done, like you should, regularly, to make sure they are checking your air. And
again, I'm a proponent of this. I mean, the place that you're having it done, ask them, did you check my air filter? I mean, some vehicles out there, like Steve said, they're buried. They're hard to get to, and just make sure it isn't getting blown off. I mean, make sure that someone's looking at the air filter for you.
But, of course, that's something that you guys will always perform at
Westside Auto Pros.
There you go.
Let's say I had one of these, and I needed to get it checked out. Where would I go to find you in order to get this taken care of?
You would find us at westsideautopros.com. We're located in Clive, and if you go to our website, westsideautopros.com, there's a locations tab to tell you how to get there.
That's great. And we've got this special deal. People can come right in with a question.
That's right. Ron is so generous that we have this thing now where you can submit a question on our Facebook page. So make sure, there's so many great reasons why you need to like our Great Day Facebook page, but this is one of them. You submit a question. If Ron reads it on the air, you get a free oil change. So do you have today's question?
I do have today's question. Today's question came from John Graziano. And John had a Chevrolet S10 vehicle, and he had wrote in that occasionally when he's driving down the road, the security light comes on the dash. And also occasionally the vehicle won't start. And so what he does is he just removes the key, puts the key back in, tries it again, and then it will start. And that's not an uncommon problem on General Motors vehicles. And what it is, this is the lock cylinder that the key goes in, and every time you start it and rotate it, there's these two little wires that flex. And so over time, those wires will crack or start to break, so you get an intermittent connection. This is what sends the signal down to the computer that it's got the correct key in it. The other issue is there's actually a sensor in here that sometimes goes bad. So my advice to John would be to have that checked out. I mean, he had mentioned it's been doing it for a long time, but one of these times it's not going to start. The wire's either going to break or the sensor that's intermittent will eventually fail. So there is a problem in the vehicle's security system that's turning the light on.
Or just hot wire it.
Kind of hard to do.
Is that a myth now? Is it hard to do that nowadays?
It depends on the car, and it depends on who you are. But
MacGyver could do it like that. It's always just a little and they're gone.
We need to do a how to hot wire segment. Let's do that.
Oh, now that would be a good.
We could go on location.
We'll bring in the cast from Gone in 60 Seconds.
In the movies, it's always they just touch two wires and
exactly.
Angelina Jolie will be here.
Tune in.
There we go.
Tune in next Tuesday. Ron's going to show us how to hot wire a car, ladies and gentlemen,
and how to steal a set of wheels.
It's great. But in the meantime, just make sure you check your air filter.
Ron, thanks for coming in. Great stuff. Always wonderful information.
Always glad to come in.
Stop by and check them out. We got more Great Day coming your way. Stay tuned.